Lead with Legacy, the official podcast of IOL Global. Here, we will explore leadership that outlives titles and trends. Through conversations with faith-based and marketplace leaders, we will discuss integrity, conviction, and purpose. To learn more about us, visit us at iolglobal.com. Hello, and welcome to the Lead with Legacy podcast. I am so honored today to have with us Natalie Berkiw-Scenna. She is here with us with Project Management Life, and she has just an incredible story of the things that she's done, the things that she's currently doing, what she's starting to run now. And so we're just going to have a little light conversation, talk about, obviously she's in project management. We've had quite a few project managers on the show, which is pretty exciting. And so Natalie and I met through some mutual contacts. We've had a couple conversations, and I just felt like she was a wonderful fit for the show. And before we jump into the conversation, if you're listening and you want to make sure you don't miss any of these episodes, you can take a moment and subscribe to the favorite listening platform you have. We are on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all the things. You can go to our website at iolglobal.com and it'll list everywhere that we're at, so you can pick which favorite one. I think there's Spotify as well. And so any of these conversations are valuable, you can support us at the Lead with Legacy podcast as well. So you can just jump in there. Now, with all that business out of the way, Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And congratulations on your distribution. It sounds like your podcast is doing amazing.
You know what? I have to give all credit to my team. They have done all the work for that. I am primarily doing the recording, and then I have a phenomenal team of people who are working on the videos and getting it out to everybody. And so it's been a great collaboration, and it's been exciting. So
amazing.
So you're doing some exciting stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll kind of save that for later, but let's just start with a couple questions for you. I'll grill you a little bit.
Absolutely.
What has shaped how you lead after all of these years that you've worked in project management?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I'm coming up on 25 years in project management, which is no small feat.
You're only 25 years old.
Thank you. But no, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen a little bit of everything. One of the things I love about project management is the variety, but it also has a darker side as well, in the fact that there are constant expectations that are growing every year. Project managers and project leaders have more and more on their plate every year. We used to be in a state where, it was managing your budget, managing scope, managing your schedule. Now we're at a state where project managers and leaders are seen differently in the organizations. We're seen as true business partners. And so the expectation and the bar has certainly increased. And so, I love this work, but it also takes a toll. And so, when we think about, Project Management Life is obviously where I'm coming from here, just in terms of, I'm really excited to share that with everyone. Project Management Life is really just about, how do you live your best life as a project manager? It's, we focus so much on training and certification and getting that next certification and what's next. But we fail to really focus on ourselves and growing as humans, growing as people, and being able to find that balance between, it's not just work. We have lives outside of work as well. And how do we find that perfect balance? And I am probably sidestepping your question a little bit here, but I'm just really excited to be here. I'm excited to share a little bit more about what we're doing here at Project Management Life. And again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I just feel like I've seen it all, and I can bring a very kind of maybe unique perspective. I've been primarily a project manager in the healthcare space. And so I see a lot of people, that have, in different careers that come to the hospital that are burned out because of incredible amounts of stress. And so when I apply that to the work that we do, I think about, again, the amount of expectations and requirements that we have, and how we can really get to a point of burnout, and we sometimes don't even realize it because we're just go and trying to grow our careers, trying to keep a stable family life outside of work at the same time. there's just so much to it that I really wanted to create a space for us to think beyond just the training and certification and really look at us as humans and how do we really live our best life.
I love that so much. One of the things that I just really enjoyed about our other conversations together is that you really have a passion for this. And me coming from one project management and project management training, and then learning and development all encompassing, is so true. Because one, we get bogged down with the projects, right? If we're in the middle of a project, we got to get it done. It's got to get done, and then this happens and that happens, and so it's just out. It can just be exhausting. It's fun, we all have a good time with it, but it can be a little bit exhausting. And then when you add in, oh, well, you have to have PDUs, and you need this class, and you need that class, and now you have to learn AI, and now you have to be better than this and better than that. And so, all the noise is coming at you, and it's very, very overwhelming. And I love that what you're doing through Project Management Life is giving people some really valuable and applicable tools that they can use to kind of quiet the noise and kind of move into, a better work-life balance. So let's talk about what are leaders getting wrong about sustainability and long-term performance. So for instance, if I'm on a big project and I think, okay, well, I have to, I've got to work 15 hours a day to get this project done. What is the wrong thinking in that as far as, me and my performance and making that happen long term?
Yeah, no, great question. I think one of the challenges that we have is when we're working on some of these significant projects, and I've been there where, 15-hour days plus is becomes the norm. The reality is this, we can only work at a level of urgency for so long, right? When we're constantly in that firefighting mode where we have to always be on and it's just everything's coming at us, we've got multiple priorities all at the same time, we can really only, our mental clarity is really only going to be what it can be for so long before we get to a state of complete burnout. So here's the thing. So if we're working 15-hour days nonstop and we don't have moments where we can have rest and recovery built into that, we are going to get to a point of complete burnout. And here's the reality. We're not going to bring our best selves to our projects anymore. We're going to get to a point where we have mental overload, we're stressed, we are exhausted, we're maybe making mistakes, we're not reading things fully clearly, or we're misinterpreting because we don't have that mental sharpness anymore. And so if we're not allowing ourselves to build in time for rest and recovery, and I'm not talking about, I need a vacation day every, 3 days or something like that, but we're building it into our schedule where we've got focused time, where we've got that downtime to think strategically, we're setting boundaries. So if we truly are working 15-hour days every day, there's a boundary issue there, right? And so, how do we set appropriate boundaries? How do we manage our energy too? So time is only a finite, we only have so many hours in a day. Our energy is not finite, right? If you think about your energy, you have certain times of the day where you have really great mental clarity, right? You're focused, you can think strategically. You have other times of the day where your energy starts to dip. And so if you are trying to fit in strategic work into those down times where your mental clarity is down the tubes type of thing, you're not going to be able to really bring your best self to your projects. You're going to burn out. So being able to understand your energy level and how it fluctuates throughout the day, right? You have certain times where maybe you're more irritable or you have
Oh,
less patience, and then you have other times where you're just sharp as a whistle, and so it's, how do you understand your body? How do you understand your energy? How do you manage your schedule and set appropriate boundaries so that you are not constantly working at that urgency state nonstop for 15 hours a day, go, go, go? Because that once you
not good.
cross that line, it's hard to come back from it. So setting boundaries in advance is really, really critical for
Yeah,
project
I can
leaders.
wholeheartedly agree with that. From a is completely personal level. Two things. is, the timing of when you're at peak. For me, it's like early morning because if I get up early, if I discipline myself to get up early and start around 6 o'clock and just get my day going, I'm flowing, I'm doing good. My mental clarity is good. I don't have a lot of distractions because there's not a lot of people in and out. And not a lot going on. For me, it's later in the day, when things just start getting noisy and I'm getting kind of like, okay, even what's weird is, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, even if I start later, it seems like the days that I start later, the afternoon is just crazier for me. So if I can like discipline myself to get up and start, at that same general time every day, I seem to do better. But I will totally agree as well that it's when I'm trying to push, push, push and like do those 15, 16-hour days to get the project done. That's where my mistakes come in. But knowing those limits and setting those boundaries helps us to kind of keep, an even keel there. So I can attest to all of that. I've been there, done that. I am thankfully very blessed to be in a position now that I have a great team and I don't really have to um, most of the time do those really, really long days like that. And I think that's important too, is like to know that you need a team and to have a really good team of people that can support you and rely on them. I tell the ladies that are working with me, I have you because I trust you. You're here because I trust you to do the job. Yeah, I don't need to micromanage you. I just need informed about what you're doing. And if you have a problem, let me know. And I'm here for that. Absolutely. But I don't need to sit around like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? Because as long as you're doing what you need to be doing, it's fine. But I
Absolutely.
think having a good, trustworthy team is really, really key to that too when it's available. Like when I was first starting this, it wasn't available, and then God was like, "You're gonna hire this person." I was like, "No," and He's like, "You're gonna hire this person." But now I'm so grateful because I have the opportunity to have wonderful people who support what we're doing, are passionate about what we're doing, and I think that's really important too. And it's important for me as the leader to set boundaries ahead of time and say, "You're not working 10 hours a day. You're not working 12 hours a day. I only
Absolutely.
want you to work, 6, 8 hours a day. We can accomplish if we're focused, we can accomplish so much more in that amount of time."
I love you just said that because it is both the responsibility of the project leader, but also the organization to not burn their teams out, right? So the fact that you set that boundary for your team and say, I don't want you working 10 plus hours a day, that's important. Not all organizations look at it from that perspective. And
No.
that's what's really unfortunate. And I also love that you said that your energy is super high in the morning, right? That's when you are at your highest mental clarity. And that just really lends itself to your circadian rhythm, right? Your circadian rhythm is something we all experience. We all actually kind of go through relatively, give or take a little bit, but through the same cycle. And the morning tends to be when most people have their highest mental clarity. And so if you're thinking about those 15-hour work days you talked about, right? And we're putting our most strategic, highest priority items first thing in the day, and we're not getting initially bogged down by email, because one of the first things we often do is we open up our email and we go down a rabbit hole. If we instead spent the first half hour, first 45 minutes, and knocked something significant out when we're at our peak mental clarity before we go down that rabbit hole of our email and get lost and chat messages and everything else that's going to start coming at us for the day, that 15 hours might actually compress naturally because we're no longer trying to complete that strategic activity when we're at our lower mental energy and clarity later in the day. And it's going to take us significantly longer because we just don't have that sharpness, right?
Yeah,
So
I am
I love that
completely
you said
agree.
that.
Yeah, because by the time we typically, we start out I start earlier and then, we start out as a team around 8, and we get going. By the time we get to lunch, we have lunch. After that, it's like but then I have another lady on my team that she works remote and she works in the afternoon. That's her best time because she's homeschooling kids. She's got that stuff going on. And I'm fine and I'm flexible. And I think that that's part of it too. Is like we need to be as leaders and as organizations more flexible with what works for the individual because what works for me may not work for the next person. For me, morning works really, really well But it, like for Amy, it doesn't, it's not ideal for her. And so that flexibility to allow people to work at their peak when it's best for them. I think that I can attest to my team gets so much done in such a short amount of time that I can't complain about it. Like, they're doing really, really well. But I think, and not that I'm an expert on all of that. I've just learned over the years. I've done the projects that are 15 hours and for 40 days, and you're about to bug out and you're just like, you can't see anymore. And everybody's like, what's wrong with you? And now I'm seeing the advantage of that doesn't really bring all that much value in the long run. And so, we have deadlines, we have timelines that we have to get things done, and that's okay. But we try really hard with this team now to kind of work ahead, so we have things ahead of time and we're not backtracking to get things done. All right, let's go to another question. Like, can you share a real moment where you saw burnout or overwhelm up close, and what did that teach you?
Yeah. So let me take you back a little bit earlier in my career. This is probably, again, I've been doing this for a while, but if I take you back even, let's say 10 years, and I'm not talking about, a single instance in time, I'm actually talking about a good stretch of a number of years. So I was at a point where in my project management office at the time, I was the most senior PM. I had the most experience. And so what naturally tends to happen is as you have more experience in your career, you tend to get the more complex projects, right? That just naturally happens as you continue to prove yourself and you can demonstrate that you've got the skill set and the ability to really lead complex teams through projects. So as I take you back to this time, if you will, it was sort of what my teams were calling the train wrecks. Projects that were really off the rails. It was, oh, let's give that one to Natalie, right? And it started becoming a habit. And so not only I didn't have one train wreck, I had multiple train wrecks. And so trying to manage them all at the same time. And here's the thing, when you say 15-hour days, it was consistent. I was at least 4 weekdays a week working till 10:30, 11 at night. And then I was trying to catch up on the weekends as well. My workload was insane. And I very specifically remember this, sitting at my dining room table with my laptop at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, still trying to get something done. And I would be hunched over my laptop with one eye open, one eye closed, trying not to fall asleep, trying to finish what I was doing just so I could close up and go to bed. And it was like that every night, weeks on end, months on end. It was just consistent. That was just the way I lived. Right. And so when you say, sometimes you live to work or work to live, right? At the time I lived to work,
Yeah.
not by choice, but it was just,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was the way it was. I was constantly feeling overwhelmed and burned out. But at the same time, and this is where project managers sometimes, we falter. At the time, it was like, oh, they need me. I felt needed. I felt, nobody could do this but me. Right. And so there's a little bit of an ego boost that comes with it, but to my own detriment.
Yeah,
Right. So
the
it's like,
cost.
I'm happy to take this on. Well, yes, I've got 20 other things going on, but yeah, I can take one more thing on, one more thing, right? And that is the challenge, is sometimes we don't pause before we say yes. We just say yes by default versus looking at our capacity and, do I actually have the capacity to take anything else on? No. So, but yet still saying yes because it's just sometimes ingrained. So sometimes we just have to be mindful of that. So as I think back to that period of time where I literally, again, hunched over my laptop, one eye open every night, I look back at myself and I say, what was I doing? Like, why was I letting myself go through that? Now I'm, of course, later in my career, and I now have the confidence to say, I don't have the capacity to take that on. But how else can we manage that? Is there anyone else on the team that has capacity? Or can we look at priorities? Is there something that we can shift off of my plate so that I can take that on? You're talking about trade-offs versus, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. And a lot of younger project managers and project leaders are eager, and that is a wonderful thing, but we have to be eager to a certain extent, right? We can't get to a point where we're just willing to take anything and everything on, to prove ourselves, when in reality it's just going to burn us out. So I think that was a really important lesson for me.
Yeah, and then what a great example too. I'm a yes girl, and
Mhm.
that has gotten me in a lot of trouble over my life too because I say it is. I mean, I love your transparency and your honesty in it, and saying like it's an ego boost. Like I can do it. She's the one that can do it. Natalie can do it. Okay, I can do it. And to your own detriment, right? Because you're exhausted, you're burnout, and are you really doing it all that well? Because if you're sitting there at 10:30 at night with one eye open, it's not probably the best quality work. And
Not
I have been there
quality.
as well. It wasn't that long ago, really, probably, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I was again, I'm a yes girl, and so, like, people go, "Oh, she's really good at organizing, ask her to do it." And, we were organizing a function at church and, for the ladies, and there's one of the, like, more established ladies in the church, and so I called her and I said, "Hey," I said, "Would you do this for me, to help us out with this?" And she just said, "No." And she said, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And she said, "I just don't, I have a lot going on and just no." And she didn't make a lot of excuses. She just said no. And I sat there for a minute and I was like, and it hit me. I was like, you can say no. And I told her later, and I talked about this in a thing that we were doing. And I said, and I actually wrote her a letter and I was like, thank you. Thank you for saying no to me. I needed somebody to say no that I really respect, and admire, to show me like it's okay, it's all right. The world didn't fall apart because she said no. And so I actually have really, really kind of been embracing that, not in an over, like, oh, everything's no kind of way, but just learning that no, I don't have the capacity for that. I have other things that I have going on. There's other things that need my attention or require my attention, and I can't do that. And there's power in that as well. Like if you've been a yes girl, which you have, or yes guy, then you know that there's a power that comes with that because you're fulfilling things like you said, you're fulfilling a need and it feels good. And
Feel reliable, right?
yeah, and I was very much like, and I don't like, it wasn't some intentional thing that I was raised that way, but I was just raised that way. We do the things that need to get done and we get them done. And my mom was very much like that. And so it's just kind of like that people pleasing, yeah, we'll make it happen. And then you're exhausted and you're burnout. And so now I'm old enough too. I'm old enough now I can use my age as an excuse. And I can just go, "Oh, I'm too old for that. I can't do that. Oh, I got too much going on," which is great. 'Cause I was telling somebody the other day when my mom turned 40, I remember when my mom turned 40, and I thought, "Well, oh my gosh, she's so old. That is so old. Like that's ridiculous." And I actually have pictures of her in her office, where she was working and they had thrown her this big party. And I literally remember standing there thinking, oh my gosh, that's so old. And I'm 46 now and I'm like, "Ah, I just love it." Like I love it. I love being this age. I'm really 30 was, kind of trashy and didn't like it very much. It was like, oh, I don't really want to do that again. But the 40s, I'm embracing it and going, you know what? No, I don't have to do that, or I can choose to do different, or like you said, take something off and choose the things that I really am good at and that I really enjoy rather than the things that really bog you down that you're sitting at 11 o'clock at night. So,
Yeah, I wanna build on what you were saying too, just around, the ability to say no, right?
mhm.
So when you say no, a lot of times we feel guilty.
Mm,
That's an issue, right? And that's that part of wanting to feel reliable. We're a reliable source of, we get things done. Saying no to something means you get to say yes to something more important. Think about it from a trade-off perspective. If I said yes to this and something more important came along and I don't have the capacity for that, so that's important to think about. The other mindset piece that we talk about at Project Management Life is really, if everything is a priority, then nothing's a priority, right? We try to make everything in our lives a priority and every project is a priority, when in reality we can't. Unfortunately, we just can't put the same level of effort if we've got 6 projects, let's say, or more, and we're spread thin across it. how much effort do you think we can really put into every project? We need to pick 2 or 3 that are the highest priorities, and that's where we put our energy, and we sustain, we maintain the other ones. But it's, we really have to think about it, just not even from a project perspective, but overall in our lives. If we're just focusing, prioritizing our work, where does our family come in? Where does our loved ones and our friends and life outside of work, right? So we have to think about everything from a trade-off perspective. We say no to one thing, it's because something else is more important.
Yeah,
So I love that you said
I
that.
love that. Yeah, and it's such an we should all like put that up above our computers. Like you can, it's okay. All right. I mean, I think it's across industries too, but I think I as well as you, like I'm so immersed in the project management arena, and I see that in a lot of the people that I'm connected with. It's like trying to keep up with the Joneses in the project management world, and it's really hard. It's difficult. And I think that, what you said, if we just pick those few things and we do them really, really well, and that starts with ourselves and our family and, our core group and stuff, and we have to do those things well. Same thing in serving. You can get really, really overwhelmed, because you can just say yes to everything, because once you say yes to one thing, then people are going to come at you for, every single thing. Oh, well, they're really good at serving. Can you do this too? And you want to say yes, but you just can't. You can't do everything, and you can't do everything well, that's for sure.
That's
So,
right.
okay. Let's see. Let's talk about the human sustainability portion. How do you define human sustainability in a practical way?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that is a key focus for project management life, human sustainability. So we talk about sustainability regularly, but we usually talk about it in different terms, right? We talk about it from a perspective of maybe sort of green energy or our footprint and keeping things sustainable from that perspective. We also talk about sustainability from a project perspective, right? We're going to put all this effort into a project, and at the end of the day, when we walk away, we want it to be sustainable. We want it to continue to live on in whatever capacity it needs to. We don't talk about human sustainability. I don't know why, but it is a huge key element of us having fulfilling, successful, happy careers and lives. So I think about human sustainability from three pillars, if you will. So the first pillar really is around self-care, personal well-being, self-leadership. This is really all about taking care of ourselves, making sure this is beyond just, getting enough restorative sleep, eating healthy, exercising, all those types of things. It's managing our stress. It's understanding when we get to a point of overload. It is that self-awareness of where when we're starting to feel overburdened. It's all about taking care of ourselves. It's managing and leading ourselves. So that's sort of the first bucket, if you will, from a human sustainability perspective. Second bucket is really around career, and it's career sustainability. So, we, you know, just in our conversation today, we've kind of talked about sort of early career, mid career, later career, and where we're at, right? We all go through that journey. It all may look a little bit different, but what we want to do is I see regularly project managers or project leaders burning out. And they're like, I'm done with this. I don't even want to be in this career anymore. I'm going to find something else. That is really disappointing, right? How do we map out our career in a way that's sustainable and successful? You know, a lot of times again, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, when we're younger in our career, when we're earlier in our career, we're eager. We want like, give me everything. Yeah, I'll take it. I want give me a challenge I can bite off, right? Which is wonderful. But we also have to realize, how much can we bite off without getting to a point of exhaustion and getting to a point where, maybe this isn't the where I want to be. We need to think about work life balance, right? As we go through our career as well, that looks different. It might be okay when you're in your early stages to, if you don't have kids, you're not married, maybe you're, you're young, take on the world. That's fine. But then you're going to go through different stages in your life. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you get to a point where you have aging parents. Maybe you get to the point where you're already getting closer to retirement, and either you want to, I'm going to work really hard and stash away money for retirement, or I want to take a step back and leave my legacy and start mentoring. I want to take a step back from the projects and mentor younger
Yeah.
project professionals, right? So you have to kind of think about your career progression and how do you sustain that in a way that gives you joy, that is sustainable, that you feel like you're not reaching mid career and you're ready to burn out and you're like, I'm done. So thinking about it again from a career perspective, right? So first one was all about your personal health and well-being. Second is about career. The third is about sustainable performance.
Hmm.
And that's really all about how you continue to deliver consistent, high quality project results without burnout. So, and that's where it gets back to the 15-hour days. And is that really sustainable, right? So we want to be able to do good work. That's what we do, right? Our aim is to be able to deliver projects successfully, beyond just on time, on budget, and and on scope. We want to be true business partners. We're getting to that state where we're right there at the table with those conversations. But if we're burning out, if we're at a point of stress and overload, then how do we do that successfully? So how do we perform sustainably? And I really look at it from four pillars there. There's four kind of key skill sets that we don't always typically talk about. We talked a little bit about this today already, but first of all, your focus and attention. We only have so much brain power, and when we've got things coming at us nonstop, interruptions throughout the day, um, we're not focused. We need that focus time. And that's where we were talking about in the morning. If you've got that dedicated time where you're trying to get something strategic, something that's going to take a lot of mental power and thinking, you're building your day around how do you do that? And interruptions. I can't even tell you how many times my phone will ding, our chat mess team. We work with Teams, so all the Teams chat message that's suddenly popping up, emails are popping up. It takes the human brain up to 20 minutes from an interruption to get back to what you were doing. Up to 20 minutes, give or take for different people. But I can tell that is 100% true for myself, because I will forget what I was working on. And then I'll be like, oh, I might as well check my email. Oh, I might as well check LinkedIn. I might as well check whatever. And then I was like, oh, wait, I was working on something.
Yeah. I have been there, and I actually didn't know that, but that makes so much sense because I have to do the same thing. I'm managing so many different avenues and different clients I'm trying to keep touch base with and stuff. And so there are times like right now I'm doing a final edit on a book. And so I just told everybody, I was like, the next 2 days, that's it. Don't Everything is shut down. I'm not checking emails, I'm not checking my phone. Don't call me, because every time there's an interruption, and of course, I mean, there's regular life interruption, but every time there's like email, oh, well, let me see if I can handle that real quick. And then I go down this rabbit hole of, oh, it's email, and then it's LinkedIn, and then it's this, and then it's that. And somebody wanted me. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wasted an hour of the time I was supposed to be sitting on the book. Um, and I've been using, which I've used a lot in the past, when I use the Pomodoro technique where I'm just setting a timer and then, I get up, walk around, go outside. It's nice out now, so I can do that. But that balance is so important. And when I want to go back a little bit to what you were talking about, you have to be able to have the maturity. I think, and it comes in time, but you can learn it sooner than some of us, to do that, to just say, it's all being turned off. All the screens are gonna, I'm just gonna work on this screen. I'm just gonna do this. And it's really, I wanted to talk about what you were saying with the different stages, because yeah, when I was in my 20s and it was all in and there was no kids and there was no family and there was no, I was like, I'll do whatever. And I think that kind of got ingrained into me, to be that person, like I was saying before. And then I moved into my 30s and now into my 40s, and it's like I was just operating in that same, like, pillar like you're talking about. I was just stuck there. Like I have to do all the things all the time. And as life changes and then you add in the family and the kids and the different things that you're serving out or you're doing, you can't be all things to all people all the time. And as your life changes, you have to kind of regroup and say, okay, this is who I, and it's difficult to, for men and women. I don't think that there's any great difference between the two because I know that men, they will hold a lot of things, they have a lot of responsibility and things, but for those of us women who are in project management or in careers and then we have families, it's like, oh, we have to do all the things, right? And then I got to get home and I got to cook dinner. Or even like for me, I work at home remote. Um and it's even difficult some days. I'm better than I used to be. It's even difficult to, like, walk out of here into the kitchen and go, "Okay, I need to cook dinner," because it's all still coming in and it's still filtering in and it's ding, 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 ding. And so we have to learn that I love what you're talking about so much because it's kind of like the journey I've been on, like, the last year is, like, regrouping and saying, "Okay, this is the time I'm gonna end, this is the time I'm gonna begin," and really setting those boundaries. I want to be respectful of your time and of the people that are listening. So let's talk a little bit about what you have coming up. You've got two things coming May 1st and May 22nd. So tell us about those a little bit and how people can kind of get involved with that.
Yeah. So I was telling you a little bit about sustainable performance, and we
Mhm.
talked about the focus. We talked a little bit about energy, and just managing your energy throughout the day, your capacity and being able to not be constantly in firefighting mode, and then setting healthy boundaries, right? So we've kind of talked about those four key things that really fall under sustainable performance. So we have two really exciting events coming up, and I'm so thrilled to partner with Project Success Academy and Corbeau. So we are doing an introduction to sustainable performance. It's a free webinar that's coming up on May 1st. It is an opportunity to really start to dig in and understand what is sustainable performance and what is unsustainable performance. And it's all about self awareness, right? It's that first pillar of human sustainability we kind of talked about is really having that self awareness. Where do I fit right now? Am I in that unsustainable way of working, and how do I get to a more sustainable way, right? We all can do it. It doesn't mean we're taking work off of our plates. It just means we're working in a different way and we're able to still produce really great results without burnout. So this first event, again, May 1st, and then what we're going to be doing is for those that are interested in actually digging deeper into it and understanding the strategies, the exercises, the tools in terms of actually leading a more sustainable performance kind of way of working. We've got a half day virtual retreat coming up May 22nd. It is for those on, so I'm on Eastern time. So it is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to dig into what is sustainable performance, how to explore improving your attention and focus. Again, things like constant context switching, because we do this regularly. How do we manage that in a way that is sustainable? How do we minimize interruptions? Like you said, you've lived it yourself. I think we all experience that. It is something that's so relatable, and so we're really, again, just going to dig deeper into these. How do we set appropriate boundaries? How do we help our leaders prioritize which projects are more, most important? So we're focusing our energy, and our time and our resources where it truly matters. And we're talking about trade-offs openly. I can't help with this week, but next week I can help with it. Or I can't do this. Who else can support it? But we're going to get into really, really specific strategies that folks can walk away with and start implementing immediately. So I'm really excited about it. I truly hope folks join us at least for the initial webinar on May 1st, just to really kind of start to dig into it a little bit. And then we would love for folks to join us on the 22nd if they want
Yeah,
to
it's super
more
exciting. I'm
sustainable.
really, really, I'm joining. And so I think everybody else should too. And so gracious then of you to give like this free webinar to people to give that information and to do the podcast too and kind of give some people some practical insights into things that they can do right away just to set some boundaries and block some time. It's really important that, we hear a lot about it, right? Like you read about it and you hear about it and so says it, but the implementation of it is very, very important. And I know you're going to talk more about that in the webinar, and in the other event that you're doing as well. So I'm excited. I'm super happy to plug those. So May 1st and May 22nd, we're going to put links below the video, and in the podcast so that you can go there. We'll put links to connect with Natalie on LinkedIn as well. So Natalie, one thing, I don't know if we explained this to you or not, I can't remember, but one thing we do on this podcast is we ask everybody the same two questions.
Sure.
And it's a lot of fun because everybody's answers are completely different. We've been blown away by some really amazing stuff. So I'm going to ask you the final two questions and we'll kind of wrap up after that. So the first question is, who has influenced your leadership the most?
I like that question. Okay, I have something, but I don't think it's going to be what you expect.
You can answer anything you want.
So, so now I'm going back really early in my career. So I had just started a new role. I had been managing projects for about 7 years at a nonprofit organization and really didn't know it was project management, right? So it was kind of, I was one of those folks that got into project management unexpectedly, didn't realize I was doing it. And I decided to transition to a role that truly was a project. It was a project facilitator role. It was a entry level position at our local hospital system. And because I was new in the department, I was paired up with a leader who was supposed to be there in kind of a mentorship capacity, if you will. And for those that have been with PML, they may have heard the story, so bear with me. But I was the biggest thorn in this person's side. They did not want they did not want to deal with me. They did not want to answer questions. They did not I couldn't have been a bigger burden on them, even though I don't try to be a burden on
Right.
anyone, right? I'm generally very independent and I will usually only come when I get to a point where I just can't answer the question myself. I will typically, but nonetheless, the way that this person treated me was it was during my such early years that it left such an impression on me. And I always thought to myself, when I get to a state where they're at, I will never ever treat someone who's young and eager and excited and new into this profession the way that this person treated me. I want to pave the way for the younger generation that is entering project management and is excited about it and really seeing the the possibilities in this career. The possibilities are limitless, right? We're covered in every single industry around the globe, like, which is, it's just amazing how much coverage project managers and project leaders really have. But but nonetheless, this really was an experience for me, and I won't get into details about what happened, but it was so disturbing at the time that I always knew I would do everything I can to pave the way for new project managers. And ever since then, and that's really what drove me into, you know, taking younger project managers under my wing and supporting them and helping them, help guiding them to where they want to go. Where do you want to go in your career, and giving them the path forward. And project management life is one way to do it, right? It's just this is something that I've been doing my entire career. But project management life has helped me to elevate that, if you will.
And what a great answer too, because sometimes we learn from the hard things, right? It's not always like roses. It does take a negative situation to kind of change your connotation, but then into making like that situation, making you such an incredible mentor and so honest and open about these are the things that I've been through and this is what I can help you with. And so it probably really shaped who you are now and the things that you're doing because sometimes it is the hard things that do more shaping sometimes and refining. than, the easy, or, but we all have those people that have been really, really great mentors as well. But I think when you
Absolutely.
have a situation, I had a situation, and I won't go into it either, but when I was younger, there was a lady at a position that I had, and she just like, she really hurt me. Like, we can get hurt at work. It happens. And it was really devastating, but it also kind of in the similar way kind of um changed the trajectory of how I look at people, and kind of try to look at situations from all sides rather than just looking at this one thing, and going, oh, okay, that's the way it is. And we encountered a situation like that the other day with one of my clients, and they were so good. But instead of just jumping to conclusions and listening to what one person said, we said, let's just step back. Let's see the whole picture. Let's look at everything and really kind of be more broad about our response before we just jump in. And when you have a leader or a mentor that's supposed to be the person that's guiding you, and they don't do that, or they don't do it well because you've, messed up their day, not shame on them, but it gave you a trajectory to do the things that you're doing now. And I think, I think the fact that you're taking the beauty out of it is really, really important too, and seeing like, oh, I've learned from this.
I'm actually, if anything, glad that it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, I wouldn't say that.
Right.
Now that I have, years have gone by and I'm able to reflect back on that time, it really did change the trajectory for me just
Yeah.
in terms of where I want to go and how I want to support others. And so, yeah, you're right. It sometimes it's the negative. I've had wonderful leaders as
Yeah.
well that have shaped me in other ways, but it is sometimes, but that is the one that pops immediately to my mind. Like, it is ingrained in my brain that I'll never forget it. And I'm actually really glad that it happened,
Yeah.
now that
And
I
good
look back.
lesson learned. I mean, I think anytime we can take that lesson, even if the hard lessons, and turn around and make it into something good, that's part of what we need to be doing anyways. All right, last question. When you think about your legacy, what do you hope to leave behind?
Yeah. Well, this is one of again the reasons I created Project Management Life. And here's the thing, again, we as in this industry or in this field, if you will, again, all we talk about is training and certification. And I think these are incredibly important, but it's almost like we're constantly pinning each other against each other. Like, we have to one up each other, right? Like, it's like, oh, I'm going to get the next certification and I'm going to get the next certification. I think that is all fantastic. But again, the legacy that I really want to leave is really around helping project managers to see beyond that, right? And really understanding that there's so much more that we need to be focusing on. For us, we can get all the training and certification we want. And if we burn out, how are we going to use that effectively, right? We need to be able to think about our lives more holistically and think about taking care of ourselves, thinking about how we're, performing at a high level all the time, because when we're constantly working again at that constant urgent state, firefighting all the time, always being on, we're not bringing our best selves. My goal is to really support project managers to thrive, both from a personal perspective and a professional perspective. If we're only talking about professional, then we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And so my hope is that I'm starting to pave the way for people to start talking about that and that others will pick up on that, right? Like, I'm only going to be in my career for so much longer before I look to retirement. I want others to be able to pick up where I'm going to leave off and leave that legacy of that continuing to move down the different generations of project leaders as we, all continue to grow through our journey of early career to late career. So I'm hopefully, paving the first
Sure, I think
stone.
you're doing it. I think you are. Yeah, with what I've seen that you're doing so far and the conversations we've had, I can see that you are absolutely paving the way. And it's beautiful to see. It's a good thing. And you are such a beautiful soul. It's been such an honor to have you on here. I would sit here all day and talk to you. But I know you have work to do, and I have work to do, and there's all these projects and things that we have to do. But I do really appreciate you being on here. For those that are listening, before May, go and sign up for those things. If it's after May, that you happen to come across this episode, make sure you go. We'll put the link to, again, Natalie's LinkedIn and her website on here, and you can go check her out. You can reach out to her anytime. I highly suggest that you follow her and you just kind of, listen to the things that they have to say and the information that she's got going out that's helpful. I know, like we talked about, there's a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of this and that, and do this and go here and do that and don't do that. But I think what you have in this program is a really, really good, honest, and sincere way for people to become better project managers. I was kind of chuckling to myself because one of my friends, Dave Westgarth, I don't know if you're connected with him. He has like, I think it's like over 300 certifications. He's been on the podcast. We've done some other work together. Listen, he doesn't have kids and all this. So it's just a fun thing that he does. But I've learned a great deal from him. Same thing, like pacing, right? Because it's not like he just got 300 certifications yesterday. But I chuckle because it is like when you're on LinkedIn, because a lot of project managers live in LinkedIn. It's a whole world for anybody who doesn't know. And you see, oh, Natalie got that certification. I need that certification. And so and so got that one, and I need that one. And so
It's
I
competitive, right?
really is like, oh well, I gotta get that one and post it. And yeah, it's kind of funny, not funny, because there's this kind of like whole world that just kind of like sits there revolving around all of this. And I think about it sometimes like, okay, well, if I can't use it, right? If I can't take away and use that in the things that I'm doing, then I really need that badge or that certification. Because for those of you who don't know too, there's like badges, and you can all, like, oh, I have 200 badges. But I'm like, if I can't use 200, things, and I'm not knocking Dave, he understands what I'm saying.
No, no, I mean, that's amazing. I mean,
And well, he's
that's a
also
big
like super
milestone.
brilliant. He's like 10 times more brilliant than I am. But for the mass majority, and he would say this too, that we can't, there's not all of that we can use. But for instance, he has like a path of different kind of certifications you can do. And so it's been, gosh, almost 2 years now, I guess. I went through one of those. What's really unique about what he does is he'll show you like free paths of different classes you can take. So I did a whole series on product management, because that's part of one of my areas of expertise, but I needed like some brush up and some more information, better information. And so I kind of went through this little path and got a certification for what it's worth. But really, it was the knowledge that I gained. And same thing with what you're doing with project management life. It's the knowledge and the applicable, like I can take this and I can use this right now. And that's what I really loved about that program, because I wasn't just trying to pass a test, because there was no, like, there was, the little quizzes or whatever, but I wasn't trying to like study to pass a test. I was learning. And actually I did most of it outside in the summertime by the pool, like listening and really kind of soaking it in and learning, okay, these are real things that I can do and use in the industry that I'm in. Um, and I think that that's so amazing. What you guys are doing is the same thing. Like, these are real, tangible things. You can take this. We're not studying for an exam. Not that that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad either,
No, not at all.
because there's a time and a place for that. I mean, if you're trying to advance in your project management career, you're going to have to, kind of lay it down and say, okay, I'm going to get the certifications and do that if you really, if you're really serious and invested in it. And there's a good time and a place for that. But there's also a good time and a place to just learn, because it's an interesting idea, or it's going to help me be a better mentor, a better person, or a better product manager or project manager or leader. And that's why these conversations are important too. It's important to listen to other people, um, and to learn. Maybe there's somebody who's going to listen to this who has a really terrible mentor right now, and they'll say, "Oh, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel,
Been
right?"
there, done that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I love that you're having these conversations, and I can only imagine the tidbits of wisdom that you're pulling from
I
each of.
am. I'm getting so much smarter from all of you. Maybe that was the whole goal of, I was telling you before, I think I said this, that, I had somebody ask me, a pastor asked me that. He's like, "Oh, you're doing a podcast. That's how you're making your money." I was like, "No, I'm just getting smarter by it." Um, there's no money in this. It's just a lot of fun just to talk to you guys. Like, what
Yeah.
an awesome opportunity to have like all these really incredibly smart people and just get to talk to them and listen to what they have to say.
everyone brings such a different perspective too, which is so I love that. You're really just you're opening yourself up to learning from so many different like people that have varied experiences, right? Like the fact that I bring 25 years experience in this
Mhm.
area, somebody else is going to bring 20, 25 years of experience, something completely different. And so all that knowledge you can soak in is just amazing.
Very blessed. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride to do this and just like and you all keep saying yes, and I don't know why. Y'all, yeah, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about
I'm
it.
excited to be here. I
Yeah,
really
it's great.
appreciate the opportunity to talk about project management life and my experience and I just hope that others see the value of really focusing on performing sustainably and taking care of themselves beyond just the job, right? Like
Yeah,
take the blinders off and
yeah,
really look
I
at it
can't
more
say enough how much
holistically.
I love what you're doing because I have been there. I've been in the trenches, especially this last year, opening up IOL again. It does sometimes seem like okay, well, if I'm not doing it, if I don't do it right now, and so even some of the talks we've had before, and some of the things you've done as well, have kind of helped me change my trajectory and like, hey, it's okay, it's all right to just take a step back or to take a break because I'm going to be better for it later, right? Or tomorrow morning or whatever. And so, because if I'm writing a big report or I'm working on something big, I know, like you said, I'm better in the morning than I am at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm pretty much done.
And I love that, talking about the book and stuff like that, that you're inviting everyone to give you that space to really work and without the distractions. I think as project leaders, we should be more willing to put our phones on mute for 20 minutes, right? Like the world isn't going to come to an end if
It's
we
really
don't
not.
get a chat message or something in for 20 minutes while we have that deep focused time and really move our project work forward and then have shorter days, right? That's a good thing. We just get to spend our time with our loved ones.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Win-win.
so that was one of the things I was telling Sloan, my assistant, when I hired her. I said, listen, because I hired her on in the winter. I said, listen, when it comes summer, I'm out of here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to my pool. I'm sitting in the pool. Now I'm still thinking about stuff. I'm still, and I may come back
Absolutely.
later in the evening, but I'm like, I take a break. So, that's you will not hear from me for a little while. And that's one of my kind of regrouping, like get my mind back to where it needs to be kind of things. And it's different for everybody. But yeah, I mean, really, it is okay to tell people I'm not doing anything right now. I'm focusing on this. Nothing else is going to come in. And for those of you who have not heard of that technique, the Pomodoro technique, it's amazing. I learned it from a phenomenal leader that I had. It's hard to implement, right? It's hard to go, oh, I'm only 20 or 30 minutes. But when I was doing this yesterday, I did different cycles of this, and so I would set the timer, and I was doing 30-minute blocks, and I got so much more done because I shut everything else off. And then I was like, "Okay, let me take a walk or, put the dishes in or whatever I needed to do." But it really gave me an opportunity to just only focus on that, focus really, really well on that and do it really well. And that's not something you wanna mess up for somebody as a book editing. So you really need to focus on that. So, well, thank you so much, Natalie, for being on with me. I really, really appreciate it. I would sit here all day talking to you, but I can't. So
This has been so much fun. I so greatly appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. This is wonderful.
absolutely. Let's do it again. And after you do all these events and everything, then we can come back and we can talk about this. But everybody who's listening, definitely reach out to Natalie. She's amazing. What a blessing and an honor to have you on and to learn from you and to grow. And I hope you have a super blessed day ahead and a good weekend because it's Friday. For those who don't know, it's Friday, so we get to go into the weekend. So I appreciate you so much and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Amanda.